Today I will be reviewing Less by Andrew Sean Greer. So I listened to the audiobook version, which I highly recommend. The narrator is fantastic. But Less, a novel, a novel, was the Pulitzer Prize-Winning novel of 2017. And it follows our main character, Andrew Less, who is a semi-widely known author. He hasn't had superstar success, but he is well known in the literary community, and he gets often invited to these speaking engagements or other author events, and he often says no. And he also had this longtime boyfriend that they dated for almost a decade, and named Freddie, and Freddie ends up leaving him and begins a relationship with someone else. They get engaged, and then one day Andrew Less gets an invitation to Freddie's wedding, and which just kind of not crushes him, but just puts him in a very awkward position. So then he kind of takes a step back from his life and kind of figures out why he's saying no to all these things, like what would my life be like if I had just said yes to things. So that's kind of what he does, and it ends up taking him on this whirlwind trip around the world. He visits places like Italy. He is a guest professor at a college in Germany. He goes to Morocco. He goes to India for a writing retreat where he's working on his next novel. He goes to Tokyo. So the whole novel kind of is really fun in that regard because you get to see all these different places, and the author really brings in some really fun characters. There's one particular that stood out to me in the Morocco chapter. I particularly loved that character, Zora. But the whole novel is very funny. So it's a pretty deep story when you really think about it, but it's presented in a very fun, bubbly, funny way. So the main character is about to turn 50, and he's really not excited about that at all. He's a gay man, and there's a quote, I guess, in the gay community where once you turn 42, you're invisible. And so I think he really is starting to kind of lose his identity. So he's starting to feel less of himself. He's starting to feel less success in his career. So his last name also kind of plays a part in the whole book, I think. And so it's kind of a journey to self-discovery, but it's not so much like an eat, pray, love situation. It's more of things happen to him, and he just kind of rolls with the punches. Like I said, I listened to the audiobook, and the narrator was fantastic. He really did a bunch of different accents because it does take place, there's characters from all over the world, and I think he did a really good job with getting you into the setting and really making you feel part of the story. I really enjoy this book. I know it's gotten some really good reviews from other people, and then some other people think that it's overrated, but I thought it was great. I was very entertained the whole time, and I look forward to reading more by Andrew Sean Greer.